Like, bro, I'm from Birmingham, Alabama, man. I know racism. I know the closeted racism, so this is how they started off with the, I'm not racist. I have black friends. Y'all two know me. You know who I really am. You know, I love black people. I love supporting black people.
The thing I don't like about that is it doesn't bother me for me. It bothers me that it actually, when I see the narrative of a really good friend of mine like Meek, and people trying to, again, if he was gay, which is
Bro, he has so many Aiden Ross mannerisms. This shit is crazy, man. It's almost like him and Aiden Ross are in the same multiverse. Like Michael Rubin is Tony Stark and Aiden Ross is Spider-Man. It's nasty. Just look at the mannerisms.
gay bone in his body, who cares? Number one, let's say if people want to be gay, it is 2024. Who the fuck cares? Okay. Number two,
Even the mannerisms and the talking points. Like, this is legit something that Aiden Ross would have a conversation about in about 20 years. This is Aiden, man. Just watch it. Just watch it.
bone in his body. So like, why do people want to lie about that? Why do people want to change the narrative of bet he made with me to try to hurt him? Like, that is the one thing I've learned about, look, I'm just being blunt because it's me. So one thing I've learned about black culture that I don't like is that black hate on hate.
Speak on that more. I heard you say that earlier, and I wanted you to expound on that. You said you don't like to see black people tearing down other black people.
Yeah, it's horrible. Like, like it's horrible. Like, why? Like, I want to support every. Look, two of you guys know me pretty well. Anything I can ever help with, I'm always.
Like, bro, I'm from Birmingham, Alabama, man. I know racism. I know the closeted racism, so this is how they started off with the, I'm not racist. I have black friends. Y'all two know me. You know who I really am. You know, I love black people. I love supporting black people. And I absolutely believe him. I believe he actually believes that. A lot of times, it's not even necessarily about the hate. It's more necessarily about the ignorance. The ignorance behind it is almost like, it's just dangerous in general. It's just dangerous. I don't even want to say it's from a spiteful position. If you've ever read the book, The Four Agreements, you'll understand that the mass majority of people aren't moving from a spiteful position. They're moving based off their standards. They're moving based off of what they know. If you look at the viral dress that went viral a few years ago, when you look at certain angles, some people see the white and gold dress, some people see a blue and black dress. He's moving based off his standards. But regardless, it's still extremely dangerous. And to even move from the perspective of black on black crime lets me know that he's not truly around black people that much. Like I just said, I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. I grew up with a black mayor, black doctors, black nurses, black police officers, black teachers, black firefighters. If you're from Atlanta, you have a similar story. So how we see and view our blackness is completely different from someone who's in New York, who's used to being around a multicultural ethnic group. They're being called POCs and person of colors. Homie, in the South, it's just black. North up in LA, you're the third, fourth minority. Y'all have Chinatowns and little Italys. We don't have that in Alabama, homie. So this perspective on blackness itself, it goes back to what Dr. Martin Luther King was talking about before he died. And he was saying how he led his people into a burning building trying to segregate us. Because he realized it's not necessarily even about just the blackness. It's the class itself. Just think about the entire continent of Africa. Everyone's black. Feel me? And they're still dealing with the exact same issues. Hell, during Black Lives Matter in 2020, when we were protesting in the streets, over in Africa, they were still dealing with this thing called #EndSARS. And they were also dealing with police brutality at the exact same time. But it was other Africans going against each other. So this entire concept of black on black crime is just based off proximity. It's based off our physical. It's not based off 2/3 of our Holy Trinity, our mind and our spirit. There's so much going on, man, to even separate us based off our color when Africa is the most diverse continent on this planet. Yeah, I don't want to go too deep in it to even understand the entire concept of race. But I love having these conversations because people like him who have billions, of course he runs Fanatics, but he has all these industry connections. He has all the money. He has all the resources. I love having these conversations and hearing them speak because I get insight in how the actual world works. Because the Pareto distribution, the 80-20 rule, the small minority controls the mass majority. So he is the part of the, not just the 1%, but the 1% of the 1%. If you know anything about the 1%, it only takes $400,000 to get into the 1%. So from $0 to $400,000, that's the mass majority of the population. So imagine someone who's making millions, billions, someone who's in the 1% of the 1%. That's a big ass difference. 0 to 400K is 400K. 0 to $1 million is a fucking million. That's a lot. So just keep listening. Pay attention how they speak, how they view blackness.
I always want to be helpful. I feel lucky and fortunate to do what I do every day. To be as, whatever success I've had, I feel blessed to do that. And I want to give back in every way I can. In business and in charitable things, I'm always trying to be helpful. Like, why does someone want to bring somebody else down? Let's try to build everybody up. Like, I'd be more excited if I'd be more excited to see one of my friends do something that's 99% less meaningful to me, but it would be really meaningful to them because I want them to do great. I want everyone around me to do great. I don't like watching, there's a little bit, and you tell me, you guys correct me if you think I'm wrong. I think there's a little bit of a black culture of like, it's black hate on hate. It's like that black judge that Meek had that hated on him and wanted to go extra hard on him. Okay. It's like, it's what people always say to me. It's like black hate on hate. And so I think it's terrible. I think it's something that I think it's culturally wrong. And I'll probably get killed for saying this because,
I'm glad you're saying it openly. If this is the conversations that are being had.
I have it all the time. With
I want to hear this.
Yeah.
Charlamagne said that, and some people were saying, like, of course he'll go to Breakfast Club and say that. But at the same time, I understand Charlamagne is playing the chess move. Like he just said, he's really just sitting back listening to the way that the top 1% of the world thinks about black people. Be mindful. Read the 4 agreements, man. Just listen. Just listen. This is how they think. So, hey, man. And Charlamagne, he is on his black conscious shit. You feel me? He at least he try. He part of the Booty Warriors. He got him some cases and all that type shit, too. So, Charlamagne, even if I ain't gonna hold him to a high standard either. So, like I said, man, just listen. Just listen. Hell, and if you know anything just about celebrities in general, celebrities have always existed. Since the beginning of time, we've always had idols. If you know anything about Greeks, Thor, goddamn. Hell, just the statues and the rituals that we do for idols across the world, things will always exist. And in reality, we are low-key just using celebrities because it's a lot easier to talk about celebrities' issues as opposed to speaking on our own. And if you know anything about human nature, you know that the number one fear on this planet is not lions, it's not tigers, it's not heights, it's public speaking. The mass majority of people on this planet cannot do shadow work. We cannot go to therapy. We cannot meditate. So anyone that can get in front of a camera, that get on top of a stage, that can post some type of content, you have nothing but my respect. But at the exact same time, it's a lot easier for us to talk about Will and Jada and their cheating relationships as opposed to talk about our actual cheating in our own personal lives. It's a lot easier to talk about Diddy and Epstein and their sexual deviancy as opposed to talking about our own sexual deviancy in our own communities. It's a lot easier, especially through comedy. It's like Mary Poppins, it helps the sugar go down. So these conversations are extremely important, man.
So I think it's wrong. I think, like, why do you not want to build everyone up around you? Why do you not want everyone around you to do great? The best way for everyone to do great is to push each other up, okay?
Like I said, just listen to his mindset and just, like, if you're an actor, you understand that when you're acting, you're not just reading the script. The mass majority of communication is nonverbal. So when you're saying lines, imagine you're playing the character of a 26-year-old. That 26-year-old has an entire life from birth up until they're saying that initial line in the scene. So you're not just speaking from the perspective of what's happening at that moment. You're speaking from the perspective of 26 years of damage and trauma. Hell, if you're an only child, if you're the oldest child, if you're the middle child, if the youngest, you speak like the way you were born. You speak based off your environment, whether you were raised by a 2-parent household, a single-parent household. This all goes back into your body language. So if you're an actor, if you're a salesperson, a content creator, anything like that, understand, like I said, the mass majority of communication is body language. So just look at how he speaks and why he speaks the way he speaks. And that tells you everything about his reality, man. everything. Like, if you know me, I went to Full Sail University, got my degree in animation. I've been an art student my entire life. I've been around artists. So my life has always been multicultural. So being around white people, Asians, Hispanics, we've always been based off the frequency itself. But also at the same time, I've had leadership positions where I was the president of Future Business Leaders of America, vice president in college. So I've had these positions, so I've had this conversation. So my experience is completely different than the average black person. It's completely different than the average 26-year-old. It's completely different just than the average person. So I'm speaking from someone who's been led to championships by women. All of my academic championships have been led by women. And all of my athletic championships have been led by men. So I'm looking at champions from the feminine, and I'm looking at champions in the masculine. So perspective, man, perspective. Everything's about perspective. We got to have these conversations. So once again, don't attach on to anything. Hell, even on to me. It's all about the conversation. Because at the end of the day, we actually got to get shit done. We can have all these conversations 24/7. We've been having these conversations since the goddamn, I'm gonna say the pandemic. Hell, like I said, I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. Hell, Martin Luther King, the letter from the Birmingham jail. I grew up with this my entire life, so like I said, my experience is completely different. But hey, man, go ahead and comment down below. I love having these conversations. Eventually, I'm going to start live streaming. I'm going to have more Socratic circles, so I'm going to have a lot more conversations with the audience, get your input, and man, can't wait to see what's happening, man. Thank y'all for tuning in. See you in the next video.